turns into an eldritch horror? You could have put this as the caption. What do you mean? Hi, how are you? My name's Beta, and today we'll be going over the he or she is a 10 meme, but with a furry twist. I asked you guys on my Discord server and on Twitter to send me your Fursona ref sheets with the captions he, she, or they is a 10, but, and then insert whatever downside to the character you could think of that would lower the score from a 10 to whatever lower number. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all are way too hard on yourselves. Being anxious and wanting affection is absolutely not a downside. He's a 10, but he has a fawn butt profile picture. But if you enjoy videos like these, be sure to let me know in the comments below, and if you want to partake in any of these projects or videos or shenanigans that I have in the future, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll usually ask you to send in stuff. It's simple and free, and you'll also get notified when I'm streaming, which I stream on Twitch. This is where this video is coming from. But either way, enjoy the video. Today, I want to do my version of the she's a 10 butt meme. I don't think I really did spacing with the pronunciation of that correctly, because it sounds like butt meme, you know, but see what I mean? I can't say anything without it sounding dirty. I hate this. I hate this world. I hate, maybe I'm meant to follow in Johnny Sins' footsteps. Who knows? Either way, she's a 10, but she's a furry. So what I want to do today is my attempt at the furry version of she's a 10, but insert awful dislikable trait here, or whatever you guys can think of. It's supposed to be like, oh, you know, they look nice, but there's this sort of outlier about them that's like, oh, that kind of brings down the score a bit, you know? It's like, I even used my character as an example. He's a 10, but he's way into life jackets. Like, way into life jackets. And that, for some people, could lower the score. For some people, it could increase the score. And I think the best part about this meme entirely isn't, you know, the fact that we're all thirsty for the perfect individual in our lives, but the fact that a lot of these could be fulfilled even further, and you can come up with your own narratives even from there. But either way, I tweeted it out on Twitter and asked you guys for your ref sheets, so this is low-key and impromptu Fursona review. He's a 10, but he's a cat person despite being a canine. I mean, there's a little bit of a cat in all... Calm it down, BetaEtaDelota. But yeah, there's a little bit of a cat or feline in all of us. I wouldn't see that as a downside. Either way, moving on. She's a 10, but she loses control when she is inflated. Wonderful. Awesome. I respect the dedication to character, though. Preferred gas, helium, preferred spots to be inflated, belly and thighs. Awesome. I mean, I could just make the whole argument of, like, nothing changes because they're being truthful and forward. But at the same time, the whole meme is supposed to be, you know, you figure it out eventually whether they're being truthful and forward or not. I honestly, with any of these, I don't think anything really changes. Furries tend to be hard on themselves for no reason. This is another lesson of the day. Furries have a tendency to be way too hard on themselves for no reason, even if they're joking about it. Because, like, with most of these, I don't see that any of these as, like, a downside. That's the point of it. Either way, moving on. He's a 10, but he is obsessed with cars. How's that a bad thing? I still think it's funny that someone with the antlers of, you know, being in a car is obsessed with cars, because, like, you know, when you get into the car, unless you have your seat far down, the antlers hit the ceiling of the car. So, like, deers being obsessed with cars seems dangerous. That is true. I didn't think about it now that you mention it. He's a 10, but he will only eat dino nuggets. Same? Have you seen what I've been eating for the past week? It's always involved those cosmic brownies, boxes of Kraft mac and cheese, hot dogs from the store, and Tyson chicken nuggets. That has been, like, my diet. I have the Takeshi 69 diet for the whole week, and I feel awful. I can't judge them because they're super floofy. This is Ruari. He's a 10, but he is always too busy tootin'. Okay, that could be taken out of context way too much. He always be tootin'? What does that mean? Is that a downside? Is that an upside? Am I going to be, like, a toot? What does that mean? Is this like the Pied Piper, where I'm gonna get, like, you know, hypnotized or infatuated by their, like, music playing or whatever? Is this, like, you know, Pied Piper levels of, like, playing? Or is this, like, me in first grade trying to summon the devil with hot cross buns on my recorder? Is this a hot cross buns moment? But either way, they play a musical instrument. That's a 10. See, this is what I was looking for with the little captions. but he always eats your leftover food in the fridge. That's a genuine downside. Like, a lot of these downsides that people give are like, he's a 10, but he cooks and cleans for you. Oh no, the horror. Oh God, this is awful. Why would you cook and clean for me? It's just like, okay. Either way, moving on. He's a 10, but he uses furry Twitter daily, and you used red flags. I guess if that's a downside, then I'm definitely not a 10, because Twitter on the daily is kind of my job. I would not be here doing this today if I did not utilize Twitter as, like, a resource for content. He's a 10, but he just plays Roblox. You know, this fits the bill. It's a protogen after all. Sorry, not sorry. Someone had to say it. Is that a downside, though? If you added, and they're a content creator or a YouTuber, that would be an automatic upside, because the amount of money Roblox content creators make is ludicrous. It's a nice protogen Sona, so I respect it. I respect the grind. He's a 10, but he is too green. Oh, God! That actually kind of flashbanged me a little bit. You ever see things that are a bit too bright and, like, saturated that it, like, when you expand it, it kind of hurts a bit? No downside to Enso's character, by the way. Nothing against them. But that was bright. That is very bright. You are correct. He is a little too green. The only recommendation I would ever have, maybe desaturate the background just a little bit. Other than that, you're all good. But you are correct about a little bit of a downside. It's just, like, look at my face when I bring up this ref sheet. Look at my face in the webcam. You can even see the reflection of the green light. Either way, moving on. They're a 10, but they start a game, pause it, and leave the room for the next hour or so. Is that a ray gun Mark II? Okay, you know what? There's no downside here. Whatever you have to say about the butt part, I don't care. You have a protogen with a ray gun Mark II. You're already a favorite in my book. Okay? You're already a favorite in my book. He's a 10, but takes years to finish a commission. You know, maybe that is a downside if you think about it. Maybe that might legitimately be a very big downside. Also, sup, Verplex, how you doing? But, like, you know, maybe I can somewhat relate to it, because I think I might be waiting on a commission from you. So that butt part might still be lining up. Am I being that guy sort of making that call on a stream? Yes, and I'm definitely not a 10 because of it, but that's kind of a downside. He's a 10, but spends all his money on Hot Wheels. You know, in some circumstance, that would be really funny. Because, like, imagine you're saving up to buy a car, and, like, instead, you spend that money on Hot Wheels cars. That, to me, is so fucking funny. That's funnier than the whole, like, sell your car for gas money joke. That is infinitely funnier. He's a 10, but doesn't actually know what sounds a red panda makes. Fake Sona. Fake news, Zenith. They go, wah. Wait a minute. Your ref sheet says red panda, yet I'm not seeing one goddamn hint of red on this screen right now. I'm on to you. That's what you could have used as a little caption. He's a 10, but he's a red panda that isn't red. He's a 10, but he procrastinates too much. You know, I guess that's a downside somewhat. Big Bappers, now that's an upside. What are you talking about? Smell, what are you talking about with this being a downside? Huge fluffy tail and Big Bappers, you just gave something that was like 2 upsides compared to the downside. Either way, let's go on. He's a 10, but he may look basic. First pick is with his scythe weapon. Basic? Well, you can't really say looks because you're looking at looks alone, so he's just a 10. You can't say he's a 10, but then he looks basic. Because you already look at maybe -1 for scythe, I guess, but the scythe is kind of cool and edgy, quite literally, you know? So there's that. So yeah, it's still a 10. He's a 10, but bark, 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 bark. You know, maybe that is a downside. At least he's happy about it. He's a 10, but he won't stop barking. He's a 10, but he will steal your left shoe. God damn it, Asher. So that's where all the NPCs from Weed Shop 3 are asking about their left shoe. Have you seen my left shoe? The amount of times that the NPCs in Weed Shop have asked me about their left shoe, it's probably because of Asher. So maybe that's a downside, but that's not really a downside for me. They're a 10, but they're a literal god of chaos and likes Pilk. Oh, okay, you know, that's a downside. Pilk, nah, I've tried it. Pilk is disgusting. That is awful. This is a really neat looking Sona, though. I respect it. He's a 10, but overthinks everything. Me, though? I do the same thing. I overthink every single thing I do. Every single thing I do is overthought to as long and as far as you can overthink it. And then when I'm done overthinking it, I overthink it some more. Like I start back at the beginning and overthink it again. Yeah, I feel this. This is just a universal downside. He's a 10, but he's a protogen. Ah, so the value has gone down to 0 instantly because they're a protogen. I'm kidding. They're a 10, but they don't have a sleep schedule. And they're a bat hybrid. That is just so ironic on so many levels. No sleep schedule, they're a bat. They're a 10, but they cannot resist making terrible puns. So they make dad jokes. I respect it. You know, I respect it. Sometimes you need that friend in your life. You need someone in your life that does those terrible puns and dad jokes. But to some people, it can get a bit much and a bit overwhelming. So I could see that as a potential downside. It's a 10, but it never stops talking about Scooby-Doo lore. I just had to ask, there's Scooby-Doo lore? Turns into an eldritch horror? You could have put this as the caption. What do you mean? That's not even close to a downside. What are you talking about? You haven't... Oh yeah, the eldritch horror. Nah, that's just fine. That doesn't contribute at all to the rating. This is what I was hoping to run across with some of these submissions. Just absolute chaos and ass backwardness for the sake of doing it. He's a 10, but he eats at Arby's. Okay, you know what? That's... Yeah, you know, this might be the most truthful caption I've seen ever. You could replace it with any other character here. That is the most truthful caption ever. She's a 10, but she's a nuke. You know, that's a bit of a downside. You know, nuclear explosion goes off around you. Sort of. They're a 10, but they will pee on anything you hold dear to you. Okay, so a very genuine downside. I think if anything, this is weighing the pros and cons of it, you know? Personally, I'm not into water sports, you know? Water safety, not the same thing as water sports. Little FYI there. You know, not my thing, but for some people, they could totally do the thing of like, that's kind of hot. He's a 10, but he'll experiment on you illegally with your plant DNA transmutation. What? You know, that's kind of not really a selling point for me. That doesn't really, you know, float my boat too well. I'm not really personally a fan of, you know, DNA transmutations or having that, so I might have to pass on that. He's a 10, but they haven't washed their clothes in 3 months. Okay, you know, that's a pretty big downside. That's just like, ew, why? Gross. But yeah, you know, that's a pretty big, yeah, no, yeah. He's a 10, but he has a fawn butt profile picture. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably the best one I've seen yet. Bravo to you, sir. Some furries are that shallow that they'll look at someone else's profile picture and be like, oh, it's a fawn butt icon? Yeah, no. I don't want to interact with you. It's just so funny to me. It's like, what does that have to do with anything? Fucking furries, man, I swear. He's a 10, but he's too into JoJo references. God damn it, that is a downside. I have some friends that really love JoJo references. Like, really, really love them, and I love them to death, but oh god. That is a downside. Too into JoJo references. They're a 10, but I forget they exist and never get art of them. Oh my fucking god, I feel this so hard, Draxler. Why is everyone being so damn relatable? I was looking for chaos, not to just deal with my inner demons. He's a 10, but he's addicted to Maple Story. I don't know why, but the face is just selling it for me. This expression is killing me. Hi, my name's Shad, and I'm addicted to Maple Story. What's Maple Story? I don't fucking know. He's a 10, but he doesn't actually exist. I fucking can't. This is why I shouldn't be scrolling down too fast. I'm never gonna get over this. You've won the meme. He's a 10, but he doesn't actually exist. He's a 10, but he hides the pain. That whole meme was interesting. I was expecting like a lot more like shit show randomness for downsides for the butt part of it. But like, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the downsides that furries have are my own like levels of self-loathing. It was literally like looking in a mirror for half of those. And a lot of the downsides that furries see about themselves or their characters are literally just like common traits that all of us have. You know, no one's perfect. If anything, all the things that we have add character to us, even if they're seen as downsides. But either way, this is a really good laugh today.